keep going with this. I think this is the third video looking at hooks. So I got my vest. I've had this vest since I was a teenager. It's just an L.O. Bean vest that I think I got for Christmas one year. And like nobody fishes with a vest anymore. They use like fancy little backpacks or fanny packs or different types of shoulder, sling packs and stuff like that. Kind of like, like purses and stuff, to hold all their stuff. And I don't know, I still to this day, I just like having all of my stuff with me and organized in all these little pockets. I don't know, I don't want to spend the money on a backpack and not know if it's going to work for me. Though I am a kind of a backpack person. But being on a stream, fishing, a lot of this is fishing for trout and stuff. If I'm fishing for bass, I'll bring this, but I'll just like set it on the bank, just fish, because you don't have to do too much walking. You're just like there at the pond, bass are there, they're gonna bite at stuff. But for trout and stuff, you kind of have to walk up and down the river and kind of find your spot. Find little pools and tails and riffles and stuff in the water where they're feeding, and having something that kind of has everything. Sometimes you're standing in the water, you don't want to go back to the bank, you want to stay there and not disturb the water and everything too much. You just want to have everything there. So I do like my vest. Okay, I should go through everything in the vest, but right now we'll go through hooks. Okay, so I've got lots of these. I do love these boxes. Okay, these Umpqua hook boxes. I had one of these growing up, and it was this one. And then as it's hard to see that. There we go. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I had one. The one that's labeled Dry Fly now was my original one, and that I had as a teenager. And they were kind of expensive at the time for a specialty little box like this. But online with eBay and stuff like that, I've been able to get used ones and just wait for them to come along used and buy them cheap. So in here, what we have is lots of little model numbers at the top. So you have brand names like Tiemco and Mustad and Gamakatsu, and a lot of the hooks that I tie with are or that I had invested money in. See, that's the thing, is that you buy the pack of 100 of these, 100 of one size and 100 of the other and 100 of the other, and just as somebody who's tying for yourself, that's a lifetime of hooks. It really is, because I'm not tying for anybody else. Now granted, do I buy more hooks? Yeah. When I start getting low and I'm down to my last 20, I buy another pack and I add it in the mix. Now some of these in here are actually multiple packs, as I've bought used fly tying materials from different people who passed away, and their estates were up for sale, and I bought their fly tying materials. Some of these might have like 300, 400 hooks of the same size, same model, all in there. Like this one, Mustad 94840, size 10. All right, this little dry fly hook. Now, what makes this a little dry fly hook? Okay, this is where I need my forceps, huh? My forceps. Well, I told you that this comes in here. Ah, look at that. Okay, so the forceps. So the wire on a dry fly hook, the actual wire itself that makes up the hook, is thinner and lighter, but it's also tempered to be strong for being so light and so thin. It's for a dry fly, so it's for a fly that floats on top of the water. So whenever here's the thing, is that like there's all these fly patterns in the world. You're reading a fly tying book, fly tying book like that one. This was my first fly tying book when I learned how to tie flies, not from videos, but like in the 90s. I learned how to tie flies by looking at the recipes here and not having all the materials that were in that recipe. Let's see, a blue winged olive with no hackle. So I would need a Mustad 94833. Did I have that hook? No, but it said numbers 14 to 24. Okay, so I know I need a dry fly hook, sizes 14 to 24. That means that I can tie these all the way. Here, let's get a size 14. Okay, 14. And I'll get a, oh man, I don't even have it. Oh, size 24. Size 24 is so small, I leave them in the box. Yeah, they're so tiny. These are like little tiny hooks that fit. So many of tiny, all of those hooks, that whole collection of like 25 hooks would fit right on the end of my finger because they're so tiny. Okay. So do you need to tie all sizes 14 through 24? No, you can tie a couple 14s and then you skip. Now here's the thing, is that they all go by even numbers, so they go 14. So 14 to 16, 18, you're counting by twos. I had to pause for a minute to count by twos. 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Okay. So maybe you tie several, 3 or 4 size 14s at the big end of it, okay? And then as the numbers get larger, the hooks get smaller. You are not likely going to really need any size 24s or some size 22s. So maybe tie a few 20s, a couple little 20s, but your bread and butter is going to be like that size 18 or so. So you tie some 14s, you tie some 18s, maybe you tie some 20s or 22s. Do you have to? No. Stick with the 14s and the 18s, and that's going to cover mostly everything. Okay? What I've learned in this whole like world of fly fishing and fly tying is that size 12 through 18 is where it's at. That's it for trout. Are there times where you have to like go to something smaller? Yeah. Are there times where like you don't really feel like using something small and you want to go bigger? Yeah, use a streamer. You're not going to be using a dry fly that's a big honking dry fly. You go to something bigger. Anyway, all right. So when you're looking at recipes and the recipe for what something calls for, just think about, well, what is the fly supposed to do? Okay, so if it's a dry fly, you're going to use a dry fly hook, and that's this whole box is all dry fly hooks. Now, are there other variations? Are there dry fly hooks that have longer shanks and shorter? Yes. No, you can just tie them all on here. You'll be fine. Okay, that's it. That's my lifetime of hooks and yours as well for both of you. Okay. Now, within the dry fly world, all right, so we might be getting smaller. We're thinking small little bugs. Oh, I did want to show you. Dry flies. Oh yeah, when you're fishing, I always carry around my toilet paper. All right. Everybody's got to poop in the woods sometimes. All right. Okay, what do we got? So I got a couple packs of my dry flies that are in here. All right, the little gem box. So you've got your blue winged olives, your light Cahill. Basically, again, like if you were to just carry around, you don't have to carry around all of these. It is so rare when fish are keyed in on like a specific type. Now, I'm a fly tyer, so I love to make variety. I love to make all this variety of sizes and colors and everything, okay? But really, a fly that's a go-to, this one, you look it up. It's called a Parachute Adams. Just look up an Adams fly, okay? It's got like black and white, a little bit of brown in there, and it just kind of looks like the mutt of the waters. It kind of imitates almost anything, except for a light Cahill. So maybe, so I like a lot of these seem to be parachute patterns. The world of fly tying is a lot easier with the parachute patterns now that that's been invented. Some more dry flies, okay? And so with some of these I've used a bit, and there's only like 3 or 4 of them remaining in there when there might have been a dozen. Sometimes there's a whole dozen in there. Like the Adams, because I keep them well stocked, and there might have started out with 2 dozen in there. That's going to be my go-to. Do you need 2 boxes of dry flies? No. By the way, all the patterns that you saw in those boxes, those were all mayfly dry flies. Okay. Meaning they're made to imitate mayflies. Let's see, do I have more boxes of dry flies? Yes. Okay. Because if we're talking about dry fly hooks, we want to look at the types of flies that you might tie on those hooks. I got 1 box. one box of little dry flies, and these would be the caddis collection. Okay. And so with this, you've got your lighter color caddises, some browns and some olives and stuff. You see, I've got them in various sizes. Caddis are one of those, and I've got some alder flies. You can look that one up. Alder flies. That's a neat little hatch when you come across them. In kind of, I think it's like June-ish, July-ish, when the water's heating up in the rivers. And so I've got some like little emerger patterns down here. Okay, emergers kind of hover at the under the surface of the water, right at that surface of the water. They're kind of half in, half out of the water, or it imitates a fly that's emerging out of the water. And so those you still might use a dry fly hook on them, again, to keep the weight down so that they stay on that surface of the water. All right, one of you is calling me for bedtime, so that's it for dry fly hooks. We'll jump into other hooks in a bit.